Selamat Hari Raya kepada semua rakan Malaysia. To my non-Malaysian viewers, just want to let everybody know that this is probably the biggest holiday of the year in Malaysia. This is the end of Ramadan, and it's the holiday, well actually as I'm filming this, I think the holiday is over officially, but it's a 2 or 3 day holiday where everybody sort of heads home. So naturally the roads in Malaysia are jam-packed during this time of year. If you're not Malay, like one of the Chinese and Indian Malaysians, it's also a holiday for them, so they probably take off and travel. So if you're living in Malaysia and you're not celebrating Hari Raya, the best strategy that I found when I lived there full time was to stay put. Because if you go out and drive around on the roads, you're going to be almost inevitably caught in a traffic jam. Anyway, Selamat Hari Raya. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I've noticed recently on YouTube and that has reinforced a theme that's been important to me for many, many years. If you watch YouTube at all, you've probably seen videos from a channel called Life of Reza. This is a channel produced by a young woman, a young Asian woman. I think she lives in New York, somewhere in New York. And YouTube kept showing them in my feed. I thought, why does YouTube think I want to see this? Because the titles of her videos sound like the usual self-help type videos that you see now and then. But one time I did. I clicked on her thumbnail and I watched the video. And while I was watching it, I realized she did a really good job with the video. Her script, her audio, her images, the work that she put into it was obvious. But the thing that I noticed most was that watching her videos, it seemed like it was easy. If you watch what she would do, you would think, I could do this. That looks easy. Why don't I think of that? And then I realized, of course, that what she was doing was incredibly hard, very detailed, but she knew what she was doing. And the theme it reinforced is that people that are really good at something, when they do it and other people watch, they make it look easy. Like people that dance or sing. You know, a lot of people see that stuff on television and they think that they can do it too. But it's not really true. Dancing especially. If you've ever been to an American wedding, you know that most Americans cannot dance to save their life. The point is, if you're good at something and you do it, and people realize that you're good at it, good enough to make them think that they can do it because you're making it look so easy, that's the sign of a real expert at something. I don't think I've ever told this story in a movie before, but before I became an internationally famous YouTube star, I used to coach swimming. And I would occasionally teach lessons to young kids, 5, 6, 7-year-olds sometimes. And I noticed that in each class there was always one kid who was a 5-year-old adult. He was only 5, but he tried to act like his parents. Always one, at least one in your class. Anyway, one time I was having a young girl swim across the pool, and her technique was just so bad that I thought she was trying to hurt herself, or she was going to hurt herself before she got to the other side. It was that bad. It was almost violent watching her trying to swim. And this guy, this little kid, this little boy, my assistant, who was the 5-year-old adult, he was always helping me out. He was helping the other students in the class understand what I was telling them. You know, he would help them with their strokes and stuff. And he was equally bad. He couldn't do any of this stuff either, but he thought he could. So I took this little girl aside and I was telling her that she had to slow down and make it look easy. And I couldn't figure out how to explain what making it look easy really meant. I mean, she's only 5. She doesn't know what her technique looks like. So I saw her grandmother sitting up in the bleachers and I said, "Is that your grandmother over there?" She said, "Yes." And my assistant is standing there watching this whole thing and, you know, as chiming in every now and then to help out. And I said, "What would your grandmother do if she thought you were in trouble?" And of course she said she would help her. And I said, "How? How would your grandmother help you?" And she said she would come in and help me. And I looked at her. I love it when things go out like I planned. I looked at her and I said, "Do you want to drive all the way home with a wet grandmother?" Of course, she thought I was crazy. But my assistant is listening to this conversation, and he chimes in with all the seriousness that he can muster, and he says, "There's nothing worse than a wet grandmother." And that's how making it look easy became the grandmother rule. So everybody on my team eventually heard the story of the grandmother rule, at least at some point. So when we talked about the grandmother rule, everybody knew what it meant. And it was simply, if you're going to do something and you want to master it, you want to make it look easy. And that's what I took from this Life of Reza videos. I haven't watched very many of them, but they're all equally good. She knows what she's doing. Unlike my videos, which usually are a train wreck from start to finish. I forgot where I was going here. Walking, that is, not in the narrative. Now I remember. Anyhow, that's my theme for the day. Make it look easy. As you can see, I'm still wearing my level 4 thermal protection. Although I have to admit, I probably don't need it today. The sun is out and it is warming up. In fact, I left the house about half an hour ago and it's already much warmer. So I think spring has finally come to Carbondale. As far as Life of Reza, I'll put a link to that channel in the notes below, or the description below. I keep calling it notes. It's not notes, it's a description. Her videos are usually short, but I think you'll appreciate how very high quality they seem. And as someone who makes these videos, I know that although she makes it look really easy to do, there's an incredible amount of work that goes into it. She knows a lot more about this than I do. She's much better at this than I am. They're not usually the kind of videos that I would find interesting, but I really appreciate the work that goes into them, and you might too if you check them out. I'm going to be doing some gardening later today. I did some raking last week to get rid of pine cones. Anyway, because of the raking, the grass knows I'm here. I think it's going to start growing now, which is never a good thing. But so I'm going to have to start dealing with that for a short while anyway. Thanks for watching. Be seeing you.